There's YouTube. Host view. There we go. Hey, all right, guys. Happy New Year. It is 2026. We are looking down. We're counting down the next, I want to say, 8-9 months. And it's going to be time to set up our shows again, even though some of us still have them already set up. But what we want to do starting out this year is I'm going to do a new intro to RGB series. We're going to call it something just a little bit different. If you got the email, we're going to call it RGB Boot Camp or Pixel Basics Boot Camp. And so anytime you see the
BRG.
PBB, that's what we're going to do, Pixel Basics Boot Camp. So but we're gonna start out with just some let's get your feet wet. Let's get you excited about doing this hobby that we all really enjoy. There's a lot of things in the hobby that are ridiculously complicated, and with the people that come into our Zoom room and have been joining us for years, you all know the struggles and the challenges that have happened in your own shows. You've listened to other people who have had the same instances or issues, or different issues rather, and things get frustrating whenever you are getting started with RGB and the hobby. And so what I want to do basically is I want to take this string of pixels and I want to get it to work with a controller that's sitting here beside me, and I want to show you how easy that it really is. If you don't have a set of pixels and if you don't have a controller, it's okay. Because if you're just diving into this and you want to know that you can do it after tonight, this is really the basics to getting started. There really isn't much more than this, but it's like a football field, and the first 10 yards. This is like touchdown, the other end of the end zone. But we're not covering the whole entire width of the football field. We're just going one piece of the step and showing you that it doesn't matter how much you know or you think you know about the hobby, or how to make these pixels work to address them and make them blink the color that you tell them to blink. The challenge is all of the things that your brain is going to come up with and decide, oh, now I want to do this. Oh, now I want to do this. Because internally, you're going to start all kinds of different conversations in your head. And if you're in the Zoom room, by all means, put your hands up if you've experienced this yourself. Because I know that I did, and I still experience this. I have my show outside. I guarantee you 90% of the people who ran a show this year stood outside and started making notes and said, there's a dark spot, there's a dark spot, there's a dark spot. I need to fill that in. Something needs to go there on the house. Everybody wants to tinker with their show, and the best time to do it is whenever you have it all up in front of you. But the worst time to tinker with your show is whenever it's not in front of you, because your brain runs wild with great ideas. And it gets you in trouble because all of a sudden this grows from I'm only going to do 2,000 pixels to I'm only going to do 10,000 pixels. I'm only going to do 50,000 pixels. I'm only going to need one controller. No, I'm going to need 10 controllers. So let's just start with the basics and let's just dial it back for a second. And I want to show you just how easy it really is to get started with this. So I'm going to go ahead and put these down, and I just want to walk through a couple basics. I use Windows. If you use Mac, it's probably going to be a little different for you. But let me share my screen here, and we'll go ahead and roll on down the road here. And YouTube. There we go. So here we have, this is a blank layout. There is nothing in this layout. This is xLights. I have created a blank directory. I called it January 2026. Get Pixels Talking to xLights. That's exactly what we're going to do tonight. But there's a couple things that we need to do. There's nothing in the layout. There's nothing on the layout tab. There's nothing in the sequence screen. In fact, I had, let me close this because we'll start from scratch there. And then here is the controller tab. There's no controllers set up. So my computer right now is not ready to start accepting pixels. So the first thing I want you to know is that you have to have a pixel controller and you have to have pixels. And the pixel controller has to have a power supply. So I'm going to grab this. This is an old card, not one I use anymore. It's a great card. It did a fantastic job for 10 years, 10 plus years that it was used in the show. But now it's a good demo to hold up. This is what a controller looks like. And it needs a power supply to run either 12 volt or 5 volt pixels. Mostly 12 is what people want to run. And you see a bunch of outputs down here. You see a couple inputs here for power. This side runs off of one set of power supplies, and this side runs off of another set of power supplies. And so you put two power supplies connected to this thing, and you can run a bundle of pixels, a nice bundle. And what you can do with it is you can connect a pigtail to it. So you have a power supply, you have pigtails here connected in to the controller. Very, very simple. You have to wire the pigtail output the exact way that the wires are connected inside the pixels, meaning the grounded data and the voltage positive. All of those have to match up exactly with these. There's some caveats. That's what I'm trying to say is you have to have a couple steps ahead, be a couple steps ahead to get to this point so that you're ready to do this test. But if you've purchased your first controller, and I'm not trying to make people rich by saying this, but if you are very nervous about building anything electronic, building a controller is really easy. In fact, I really enjoy doing it. But the problem is if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to probably be very lost. So maybe buying a controller completely ready to go, ready to run. They're not cheap because you're paying somebody to put them together, and you're paying for a quality build. That may be $500-600, okay? And that's just to get started. But after you see what they've done, there's no secret in it. I've done build videos on how to build controllers. You can look on the YouTube channel and learn that on your own if you want. But I always say it's good to have one that you can open up and look at while you're working on building a second one. So that's one bit of advice that I would absolutely 100% suggest for anybody who's nervous about building a controller. But you absolutely need a controller. You absolutely need that pigtail connection, that wired connection that goes to the box. You need to be able to connect the pixels to that pigtail. That needs power. You need a network cable so it can talk to each other. Some controllers are wireless. They run off of Wi-Fi. We're not going to get into that. That's really advanced. And if you're starting out, let's just go with the basics. This is the basics. Now, from the computer, which you're looking at my screen now, from the computer, you're going to need to do a couple bits of setup here. And in order to talk to our controller, the first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to have to hook up to the computer. And to do that, we have a network switch. I probably paid $12, $15, maybe $20 for one of these. This is an 8-port gigabit network switch. This one is a TP-Link, a TLSG 108. And I've used this is a tester that sits on my desk so that when we do classes or when we're doing something, somebody has a question that I can pull my controller out and I can sit here and do a demo real quick and show people something on the controller or the computer. So we have this network switch. I also have this network cable, and this network cable goes to the back of my PC, the back of my computer, and I can't show you that. I'm not going to show you that, but I promise you this is connected to the back of my computer. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this network switch to the back of my computer by plugging it in. Not everyone will have not every network switch will have a little green light here. That maybe it's on the other side. My other switches have them on the back side. Maybe they're on the top here, but mine has a little green light that flashes because it sees a data connection to a network adapter. And so that's the basic. We have a network switch We have a network wire going to the back of the computer. From here, we're just going to go into Windows, and I'm going to go into the control panel. And from the control panel, we're going to go into Network and Internet. And from here, we just want to go into Network and Sharing Center. Windows has like 10 different ways to go through this. So I'm just going through the basic steps that I know that will get you there. The last one that we should be able to get to, and we should be there, is Change Network Adapter Settings. And I'll go ahead and click on that. And that brought up over here on this other screen the network connection. So physically we have two connections on my computer. Right now we're live streaming. We're live streaming through my Wi-Fi internet connection. That's one adapter on my computer. The second adapter that I have is an Ethernet adapter. And notice how it says unidentified network. That's because this is a network switch. Now notice I just unplugged the network cable, and there is now a big red X there. It's actually figured out, hey, something just disconnected. If I plug it back in, there we go, a little click. Now we have that Ethernet jack. You can see that it's plugged in and connected to a network. And it's not identified because, or it's an unidentified network because it's a switch. It's just going to listen for data. It's not sending data out to any peripherals or any other thing. It's just listening, or it's taking data from the computer and it's going to amplify it out to our controllers. So now we're going to go in. We're going to open up. I double clicked on that Ethernet connection setting, and I'm going to go to Properties. And from Properties, I'm going to select Internet Protocol version 4 TCP/IP. And I'm going to double click on that or hit Properties. And this is the Properties button right there. You could click that. Right now, if you don't know anything about computers and you don't know anything about networking, this is the bare minimum that you have to get used to. We have to give our controllers a network or its own address from which to work from. And what we mean by this is we live on a street and there's a bunch of houses on the street, and we have to give our computer a house number because we have to. The computer has to know where it lives, and it needs to know also all the other people on the network, all the other people on the street, where they live or what their addresses are, so that it can properly send data out to that network, to the mailbox that needs that packet of data delivered to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up, I like the default number of 1, or the numero uno, the head honcho, the number 1 address, which is the number 1. Number 1 is the address I usually assign to all of my computers whenever I am setting up a network. And so I will set up an IP address. Now these numbers, I've been using these numbers for years. This is the home, generally what the home users will use. They'll use either 192.168, and then these last two segments of numbers they can change, or some people use 10.10.10. something. And so those are the two most common ones. There's other ones, I'm sure. I am not a network expert, but these are the two that I can promise you that are the most common if somebody were to ask you. So I'm going to go back to do 192.168, if I could push the right button there, 168.2.1. So the computer, I always give it the first address. That's just the way I like to do it. When you hit the tab key, the subnet mask fills itself in with 255.255.255.0. That's all the networking that you need to know. Now, why did I use .2? For the people who might be familiar with this, my home network, my Wi-Fi adapter, this thing right here, it's running on 192.168.1 network. And I don't want the two to be, let's say, cross-contaminated. I don't want them working on the same network. I put them all on a separate show network all by themselves called the the 2 network, the 2.1, 2.3, 2.10, 2.255. Those are, I'm on the 2 network of my 192.168. I said 198. Look at that 168. Boy, I'm glad I caught that. Okay, so 192.168.2.1. This controller needs to have an IP address that resides in that same street, in that same address section. And to do that, we're done with this. We're done with the network connection. We have configured the adapter. And now what we need to do is we need to go in and we need to set up our controller for that same network. Now, every controller is going to be different. This happens to be a Falcon F16V5, and I'm not going to do this on screen, but you can see here, there's no power applied to this just yet. I'm going to go ahead and plug this in, and we'll go ahead and get rolling with it here. So it says Falcon Christmas, and it pops up, boots up really quick, and it shows that this IP address is kind of already set. Well, it's set because I've been using this as our test controller for a number of years. When you receive your Falcon, you can come in here. There's a couple of buttons that are on the bottom underneath the screen that allow you to push down. And the first option is network. You can select the network, and you can go through the steps to change your IP address of the controller from a DHCP network to a static network. I always select static. Many people like DHCP. It's a personal preference. I've always used static, so I know they always work. And I know many other people use a DHCP network and they include it on their home network. I've never done it that way, so I'm not going to walk you down that path. But just suffice to say, you'll be able to, using this little screen here, go in and dial an IP address.
When you're showing them how to do that.
Hold on, Robert. Hold on. Go ahead.
When you're showing them how to do that, quit sharing on your computer so it makes you bigger.
Oh, there we go. That's a good idea.
There you go.
That's a good idea. Okay, so here we are. I forget that that's that little tiny thing. So here's our Falcon controller. Here's our little screen. There's a couple of buttons underneath it here. Yeah, I know it's going to be really hard to see these, but you'll be able to go in and you'll be able to select network. And you'll be able to go in. It's set to static already. If you want to change it, you can change it to DHCP. You can arrow down to the next one, which is your IP address, and you can go in and change the IP address to something that's on the network that you're going to be using on your show. So my show runs on the .2 network. Mine's already set up for this. So I should be able to connect directly to this controller, plug into it with a network cable, and begin talking to the controller. I'll show you one more thing. I did this on the top of the box. All of my controllers, I like to take a label maker, a cheap label maker I bought years ago, and I labeled everything with what's inside my boxes. This is a Falcon F16V5. Here's my IP address, so I never forget it. I never have to open the box if I don't want to. And because I use 2 different voltages, I use 5 volt and 12 volt. I have this one labeled as 12 volts, so I can just look at this, or I can also look at which connectors I have. My 12 volts are on X Connect, and my 5 volts are on Ray Wu connectors, so that I don't screw them up. But this is the simplest way to kind of get started with pixels, and in order to do so, the next thing that we need to do is we need to take a network cable. After you have an IP address that's going to sit on the exact same network, we're going to take a network cable and we're going to run it right on in to our switch. So I'll just set this right here. I think y'all can see that. I'll go ahead and plug in the network cable. Now, the nice thing about these boxes is you have these little pass-throughs on the side of the box. You're not going to see them there. There we go. Over here is a pass-through. It says Ethernet 1 and 2. I'm going to go ahead and plug my network cable in and set it back down. And it's already become a wire mess. Let me. Yeah, there we go. There we go. go ahead and plug that back in. And we have some green lights lighting up. And the other thing is that now we see a little bit of flashing. Now, you might not see it on Facebook, but YouTube might pick it up a little bit better. Maybe not. I'm not sure how bright the screen is there. That's it. That's all it takes to get a network started in your PC and through your show, to get a show network started. So let's go back. Give me a second to get the screen sharing going again. All right. So we're done with our network. We have a solid connection to the network. The next thing that we need to do is we need to begin using xLights in one manner or another. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to, again, look at, I'm going to look at the IP address 192.168.2.52. So this is labeled as .52 as a controller. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add an Ethernet into xLights on the controller tab. I'm going to go to the vendor. I've already identified this as a Falcon vendor. Falcon. Where are we at there? This is, and the model is a F16 V5, and it gives it an automatically gives it an ID. It's number 1. And now we need to go in, and I'm going to leave all of this as default. I'm not changing anything here. I'm just going to leave it as default, and I'm going to change the IP address to exactly what I have it labeled as. 192.168.2.52. Oops, .52. There we go. And depending on your controller, the protocol that is being sent out could be either E131 or DDP or ZCPP, which I don't know that many people use, or if they do or don't, and ArtNet, which is more of a commercial version of pixel data transmission. So we're going to leave this as DDP because at the moment it's probably one of the best, most fine-tuned for what we use in the hobby for higher frame rates and so forth. So it can send more data faster and does a better job at it. Not an expert at explaining it, but that'll get you there. So we'll go from here, and we will go ahead and save the controller. Now, there's a couple other things. We can give this controller a name over here. I can give this Falcon F16V5, and I can say, hey, this is my 12-volt controller. I can give it a description which is very specific to it. Let's say this is where it's located in my show. That's what I usually like to do, or the big prop that's associated with it so I can find it real easy. Oh, this is my 8-foot snowflake. It's hard to forget that one, 8-foot snowflake. So it's easy to go, oh, what's the snowflake connected to? Oh, it's on the snowflake controller. Okay. So that gives you a description, that gives you a name, something that's easy for you to quickly visually find on the screen here. Now, the next thing you're going to notice is that xLights has all of a sudden found this little green fake LED at the bottom right of the screen. It's turned this inactive LED to a green LED. And what that means is that means we have a successful network connection with our controller thanks to the network cables that we hooked up to it. xLights can physically see this controller inside xLights, and it's able to talk to it. Now, that doesn't mean it's ready to start working. It just means it can talk to it. So the next step is we need to add our pixels in. We have to find a way to connect our pixels and talk to our pixels and tell our pixels to go do something. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the first output, which is right here, which you may or may not be able to see it off screen there. And I'll line up the little pin, and I'll go ahead and screw the little lock down on it. Hopefully, let's see, hopefully you can see the pixels down there. Let me see if I can fix this. Hold on just a second. There you go. And so now we need to tell xLights, hey, we have a prop or a string of pixels that's on the controller. So how are we going to do that? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the layout tab. We're going to select a single strand here, or a single line. We'll click one click, and we'll drag this out, and there happens to be 100 pixels on here. By default, xLights only shows that there are 50 pixels in a single line. We can come down here and edit this, though, and change this to 100. There we go. It filled it in a little bit for us. We can have a little bit of fun. I'm going to blow this up a little bit for the pixel size. So make the pixels a little bit bigger so you can see them whenever they do something. We'll save there. You can see them on the screen, 100 of them. Now we have a prop in xLights that we can tell the controller, send data to output number 1 with our string of lights. The only problem is that xLights has no idea right now at all exactly what is connected to this controller, because when we last left it, we told it there's 16 outputs on this controller. It knows that because it knows the vendor and it knows the model number that you put in. The thing that it doesn't know is it doesn't know what is connected to and where. And to open this up and find out what is inside the controller or what is assigned to this controller, we can double click it, or we can click the button, the visualize button, and here is our single line. It's a string. It says strings 1, so it's one string of single line, and we can click and drag on it and assign it or drag it over to port number 1, which is the port we connected to over here. Really easy. Really, really easy. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to hit close on the visualizer. We're back into xLights on the controller tab, and you'll notice that the save button turned red. And the reason that it turns red, it means that a change was made and that it's probably a good idea, if you don't want to lose the change, to hit the save button. There's also a function in xLights that says after you create something here in xLights in the layout tab and you move it, you've just changed the layout because you moved it. I put it from there down to here. This here red button for save activates, and so you want to hit save anytime you make a change in xLights. So now we've told the controller, hey, I'm going to plug this into number 1. But now we have one more step, and that is we need to upload this configuration to the controller. Right now, the controller has no idea that it's connected to it until we upload the output. So we'll select our controller, we'll click Upload Output, and you'll see here it's uploading the pixel ports. And down on the bottom left, you're going to see it'll say Uploading Outputs to Controller. The Falcon V5 takes just a touch longer than what the other controllers do. Problem uploading string configuration. Well, there we go. The upload failed. So that's terrific. Let's go back through and look. We have auto size. We have auto layout, full xLights control, default brightness. Oh, we didn't change that. Monitor. You know what? Let's turn off monitoring. I don't know why they have that set as default. I'm sure there's a good reason. 192.168.2.52. It does see it. It shows that it only has 300 channels, because that would be correct. There's only 100 pixels, and 3 channels per pixel is 300 channels. I don't know. Let's try it again. Yep. So I just
Is it a V5?
It's a V5, and it should have no problem, but we'll see. We'll see. Upload output. That was strange. Oh, of course, now we're going to have xLights crash. Well, that was, you know what? Let's log into the controller. We'll try logging into the controller. 192.168.2.2.52. Oh, that's wrong. 52. I hit 252. Should be able to see it. Unless maybe I accidentally bumped it and made it DHCP. Network select type static 192.168.2.52. Yep, no, that's correct. There we go. Just one of those things, I guess. Let's open up xLights real quick again. So we can see the controller. That's how you log into a Falcon. It's also how you log into a Genius controller. You can type in the IP address, and it takes you to the user interface on via an internet web browser. Okay, so we're back. We've got our controller. Let's double click on it. Here again, we have a single line applied to port number 1. Cross your fingers and your toes. Let's click upload output and see if it works this time. If not, looks like I might be a monkey's uncle. There it is, Falcon upload complete. Now, can I tell you why it failed? I have no idea why it failed. But welcome to the wonderful world of pixels and the hobby. Okay, so that should do. Let's go look. I wanted to show you this anyway. Click the open button whenever the controller is selected, and xLights will navigate to the controller setup page on the internet, on the web browser. I'm going to go to Pixel Outputs, and we're going to go look at the first output, which says single line. It says start channel is 1. It says pixel count is 100. So we now know that we have 100 pixels connected to this controller. We now know that we've set it up ready to go. It should work right out of the. It should work when we start sending data out to the pixels. So what we'll do is we'll start a new sequence. We're going to do an animation because we're just testing, and I'm going to click done. I'm going to come up here and hit the letter T for timing, and then on the single line I'm going to bring down the single strand effect. This is my favorite test to start with, one of the favorite ones that I start with. So now you have a red and white bar. I'm going to get rid of the white, and I'm going to make this a bigger chase size, a little bit bigger, so you can see that traveling across our 100 pixels from left to right. And we'll go ahead and check the little output to lights button up here at the top of the screen. And there you can see, now I don't have these all straight in a line, but if you can imagine, it's going from pixel number 1 all the way to pixel number 100. And that is your output test. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to show you a real world example or a real world scenario that you can, so that you can feel a little bit more confident in the fact that, well, you just set up 100 pixels. This could be your roof outline. This could be 150, 200 pixels on your roof outline or a segment of your roof outline. If that's what you're imagining, that's what I see this is a perfect example of. You might get up there and it might be only 96 pixels. It might be 120 pixels. It all depends on the size and spacing and all of that stuff that you're going to go through. But this is as easy as it is to get started to do a roof outline, basically. From here, if we wanted to do something more exciting like a prop, I have this guy right here. And I'm just going to set him on top of the controller. And I'm going to plug him into output number 2. There we go. This here, for those of you who are not familiar, this is the Boscoyo 4-foot tall nutcracker. He has the tall gumdrop type pixels in him, and they have a little jacket around the inside of it to keep the light from making the Coro glow. And they were super easy to push into this guy. I'm gonna just lay him here, and I'm going to turn off the output to lights. So sometimes whenever you're doing things in xLights, there's some things that you can't do when output to lights is selected. make sure that if you are trying to do something and xLights won't let you do anything, come back and click the output to lights button one more time to make sure that the light bulb is off. Okay, I'm gonna close this sequence, and I'm just gonna get rid of the changes. Don't need to worry about it. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find this model, because we purchased this from Boscoyo Studios. I'm gonna find this model in the xLights download. Now, forgive me, it might take me a second to get this going here. Yeah, gonna take a second. There we go. And I'm going to click on the Boscoyo Studios tab. I know it's on here somewhere, but I need to find it. We can search for it. And I think it has the word toy in it. So let me hit search. And here's a Decor Toy Soldier. And I'm going to look at the height. The height is it says 16 inches by 47 inches. He's 47 inches tall, not 47 inches wide. So I think that's a mistake on their end. We're going to go ahead and select this model because he certainly isn't the 8-foot tall version. So this is just a short guy. So we'll insert this model. Now, the important thing to know is that when you have a model that you purchase from a vendor and you're using the vendor model that's in xLights, you have to make sure that your model has its pixels entered correctly. Now, on the back here, you may see that I physically drew lines and I made a wiring diagram on here myself. So I did this on purpose because I have a video that I need to produce showing the build on this, but I wanted to make sure that I used the exact same model that was in the model download. And I'm just gonna open this wiring view up. So here's another thing that you can pick up from today's lesson is select the model in xLights. See how it's highlighted yellow and has the little blue squares around the corner. You can go here to wiring view, and you're looking now at the back side of it. Meanwhile, on the screen, you can physically see that we have the back side of the model, and side by side, if you look at the bottom where I have it here, I put a star here, and that's where I started. And I went up and down and over and zigzagged up. And if you look at the preview on the screen here, you'll see that, hey, I started down here and I went up and over and down, and then I did a zigzag up. This model matches exactly the model that I'm using. If your model doesn't match what's inside xLights, it's not going to work correctly. It's going to look weird whenever you put an effect on it. So these two things have to match. Now that we know that they match, let's go ahead. I'm going to click Save on here. And we have Toy Soldier is the name of our prop. And we have single line. If you wanted to change the names, you could come down here down below where it says name. I'll pull this up a little bit. And we could call this Roof. And we could call this Toy Soldier. We can get rid of the number 4 because we don't need a number 4. It basically means 4 foot. We'll go back to the controller. We'll double click on the visualizer and the controller, and we will add our Toy Soldier to the second output, which is where we plugged him in at. So that's plugged into the second output. And the next thing, again, what we have to do is we'll hit the save button. We'll come down here. We have it selected. We'll hit the upload outputs button. And down at the bottom it says Falcon upload output upload complete. We'll go ahead. We can verify this by clicking on the open, and we can go to the pixel output settings here in the Falcon. Now, all controllers don't have the exact same screens. They may be set up a little different. We'll go to pixel outputs, and then we see here roof line. Look, it told it exactly what it was: roof outline, Toy Soldier, and it gave the pixel counts, which are exact matches to what were inside xLights. Now, the only thing left to do is to do a couple of tests. So when you want to do a test on a prop that you just built, and I highly recommend doing this, I highly recommend coming in here and creating a new sequence, do an animation, click done. I like to put a timing mark in here. I put a lowercase letter T. I just click in the timing mark up here. And then down here, I like to come up and grab the bars effect, the red, green, and blue bars there. And I'm going to select 2 colors. Now, I can also do the same thing with a single strand. Let's grab the single strand and put it on the roof line. So there's our single strand and our roof line. And we have our toy nutcracker standing here, or toy soldier rather. And we will go ahead and click the output to lights. Now, you can see them both going. And the nice thing is whenever you have this bars test going up, this is just the basic bars test going up, everything might be okay. But when you really want to test your prop, it's also important to go into xLights and change from up to bars left or bars right. And the reason that we do this is it tells you whether you wired it the correct way. So if we do bars left, we want to see bars going from the right over to the left. So that's bars left. That's your bars test. So if it matches what's on the screen and you can see it, doing it right along beside it, it's doing the same thing that's on the preview screen, then you have a very clear positive test, and it's likely that you don't have to worry about the prop not being pushed correctly. So that's the important part of doing these tests. So I'm going to, I see a lot of questions in the chat and the comments. I'm going to open that up real quick. I have no idea what has been going on there. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and throw them in here, and I'll scan through this real quick. So Tom mentioned earlier when we were talking about controllers, buy your first controller, have it bought, completely built, and then after that you can, if you feel comfortable in building it 100%. I won't say they're easy to build, but they're, to me, they're very relaxing. I enjoy building them. I like doing electronic stuff. So it was a fun project for me. Other people might say my hands are so painful whenever I try to use little screwdrivers and crap like that. I just rather somebody else build that for me. I want to go push pixels and do props and build mega trees, and that's my job. So no wrong answer there. Ray said he got some of your Pixel Store Vivid 8 ready to run controllers, $350 shipped, and he just got them there today. So he's going to have them ready to go. He's going to be able to open it up, and he's going to do exactly what we just did today. He's going to do exactly what we did today, which is be able to easily go into a blank layout in xLights and create a single strand, or if he has one prop that's ready to go, he can have it start running and going. Let's see, any other questions on here? Is that a managed switch? No, we don't use managed switches in our shows, typically. I don't. I'm not saying that others don't or do. When it comes to managed switches, I like to give a static IP, a definite IP address to my controllers. And I like to be the person that sets that, meaning I tell it, you be this. And I do it only within the context of a show network. I don't use a network anything close to my home network, which runs my internet. So I use a totally different, I go down a different street whenever it comes to that, basically. Rick says, explain the box, explain that your box has network ports and smart receiver ports. I'd rather not get into smart receivers. That's another topic for another conversation. We can do that after the class tonight, or after we're done with the live. Steven said, I use all Falcon controllers, mix of Falcon V2 through V4. So those are earlier versions of the controller we're using tonight, as well as I do, with some distribution receivers sprinkled in. and a P5 and a P10, which is a kind of a video kind of panel that's run off of Raspberry Pis. I have the panel set to DDP, and all the Falcons are set to E131. Should I change them to all DDP if more efficient? So here's the challenge: not all controllers can run DDP. This is more advanced. DDP became a little bit more well known in 2022 and beyond because it was built on what we were doing in the hobby. I don't know every bit and detail about it, but if your firmware supports DDP, and some V3 and V4, well, the V4 and the V5 do support DDP, use the DDP. Just use it. If your controllers only work with E131, use E131. High chances that the V2 and the V3, if you're not running firmware that supports DDP, the E131 is going to do just fine for you. James says it will not work on V2 DDP, that is. Yeah, so he just was responding to Steven. Let's see. Jay McCatherine said real life issues. Yes, real life issues happen whenever you are live on YouTube and Facebook, and xLights doesn't upload to your controller, then crashes. Yes, awesome. Joe said, whose pixels are they? Did they say they have blackouts on the dome? So these were sent to us. I think these were from Scott LED, I'll be honest. We didn't get a lot of them. We just got a couple. And they don't have a black, it's a white, what do you call this? Let me switch the cameras around so you guys can see this.
Quit screen sharing on Facebook.
I know. I'm getting there. There we go. Okay. So that is what the Pixel looks like. There is a little jacket that is around it, and it's really hard to pick it up on the camera. But there is a jacket that is around there. If I had a better picture of it, you could see it. But there is a black stopper inside. Not black, it's white. But it definitely doesn't light up the Coro. It looks like it's lighting up the Coro, but it doesn't light up the Coro near as much as some of the other ones do. Insofar as the Coro isn't glowing. The Coro has a slight glow to it, but it's not 100% glow like let's say it was with the Evos would do to it. Where did my chat screen go? Boy, that just kind of went away. Okay, let's see. Looks like white is washed out due to 100%. That's a fair assessment. I did not show anything about anything. One thing, if you want to remember in xLights, let me share my screen again. Many times, especially when we're using 12 volt and 5 volt, we like to use 30% brightness. I'm going to pretend that we can do this on the controller level, but I'm going to do it here in the color palette just real quick and show you the difference at brightness at 30%, which would be that probably knocked down the glare quite a bit, and probably looks pretty good on your end. Same thing, these are at 100%. We're not lighting up all the pixels though, we're only lighting up a small portion of them. So 30% brightness would be a little bit more dull than those. Dimmer, not dull. But you can see here on the screen, 30% makes it look like it's dim on the screen. It really isn't. This is as bright as what they typically run in your show. So when you run your show at 30%, this is what real world it's going to look like. And believe me, it's bright enough. It is definitely, and people still have trouble videoing it whenever it's that bright. So good question. Where did my chat screen go? Here we go. The reason to explain the difference between Ethernet and long-range ports is if someone doesn't think that they are the same and plug into the wrong port. Yes, I don't want to. Dawn, I appreciate that. I'll mention it. Fair enough. So inside our controllers,
you're going to have to quit screen sharing.
I know. I came prepared with a second controller. Inside our controllers, there are different options. So I'm going to show you something just a little bit different. That is a different controller, similar idea, different controller, and how and why difference may or may not be good. Inside your controller, this is a Genius 32 controller, and where my right finger, index finger is pointing, this is a steel sleeved. Let me make sure you can see this, because I don't know if you can or not. There we go.
You're good.
There we go. This side over here where my finger is, this here is a steel sleeved network jack. This is where the Ethernet comes in and sends data to. You may have these other ports over here where you have something additional that you can plug in. These would be for expansion receivers to go from this box through these other additional outputs out to satellite receivers that could send data further away from this controller in another box that you build that's similar to this. So this is where your network jack, your network connection, your data from xLights is going to go into the controller. Don't confuse them with these. Now the Falcon looks a little different, and I'm not gonna show the difference, but every controller is going to have different setups on the inside. The same basics apply to all of them. Falcon has the same thing. Falcons, the Culp controllers. Oh Lord. Here's another example. This is an F48V4, and instead of having outputs, it's a differential board. This is your network Ethernet jack with the two little glass screens there. I don't know if you can catch those, but those would connect in, and you would get power from, or you get signal. You'd see those lights flash. Those would be your network connection to get data from xLights into your controllers. These down here would be your differential outputs. This is where your smart receivers or your receivers would pop in. Now, I don't have a receiver here to show you, but it's important that you're connecting data to what they call the ETH port or the Ethernet port as opposed to a differential port. And that Culp controller is gigantic. I have a K32 that's up over there that we could throw into the mix. So Chris said base ? That makes no sense to me, so I don't know what that means. Yeah, Chris, don't worry about it. That's just the default for the settings for xLights. All right. It would be easy to see that. It'd be easier to see if you put the lights off. Of course it would, Sherry. Good idea. There, I'll turn it off. That's it. I think that's everything, guys. If you want to join us here in the PPD Zoom room, you're welcome to join us. All you have to do is go over to pixelprodisplays.com. I'll even show you. Let me share it with you right now. As soon as I get there it is. I don't know why it said, hey, leave. Share. Share screen number 5. And here, YouTube, you guys can join us too if you'd like. If you want to join us, all you have to do is go to Learning, click on PPD Zoom Webinar, click this blue button, use password PPD, it's lowercase, and you'll be in the Zoom room with us. We do this every Tuesday. We're in the Zoom room. Tonight happens to be a webinar night. On the off weeks, and you can see the schedule here, Tonight is the webinar. Next week we call it an open mic night. If you have questions, if you're new to the hobby, and you want to have a discussion or have questions, or you're trying to figure something out, or you need to see somebody else talk about something that you're having an issue with that you can't solve, or you're trying to wrap your head around the millions of different topics that come up every single year, feel free to jump in. There is no judgment in this room. We try to keep the banter light and plentiful with fun and energetic and a smooth atmosphere that you're not going to get kind of beat up on. We've been very, very, very open to the community for the past, I want to say, 8-9 years, Robert and I, and we are thrilled to have you guys join us. So that's everything. Robert, thank you for getting us out. Anything, if anybody has any questions, throw them in chat. We're going to end the live stream here, and a huge thank you to everybody. Thank you so much for showing up, joining us. If you like the video and you're on YouTube, give us a like. If you're on Facebook, join us here in the room. Give us a like on the video there as well. Thanks all. We'll catch you next time, and goodbye for now.